not having enough time to do things. And because we're so used to always having to rush stuff, you know, I'm so used to, hey, interview start, boom, we recorded this, you know, the mic is hot as soon as you answer.
I know. So, well, let me give you a proper introduction. How about that? Grace and peace, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful, a magnificent day. My name is Yamie. Oh, I'm so disoriented. Oh, but this is, can I be honest? I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I got a lot going on, sorry. So let me start all over, okay? Grace and peace, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a magnanimous day. It's your girl Yamie, aka YamzBsayin, and you are now tuned in to Can I Be Honest? Now, okay? We are still talking about the pandemic and the pandemic talk, and in that, I realized that I did not have a male perspective. And in my quest to always be about this woman power, Black women magic, all this other stuff, sometimes I forget that you gotta hear the brothers speak. You gotta let them talk. You gotta let them talk to you and talk good to you. So when I put a call out, one of my really good friends was like, yo, Dr. D. And I was like, well, who's Dr. D? And then when I put it out and I was like, oh, because I got a lot of kind of inquiries. Someone was like, oh yeah, I heard about Dr. D. He's the truth done data. So I count it a blessing, because since we come from the church, I count it an honor that you would think it, you thought it not robbery, to come onto my platform. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Can I Be Honest platform, Dr. D. Now, Dr. D, I do this thing, man, about people. We don't,
Okay.
A lot of us don't always talk our talk when we're introducing ourselves. We do this fake humble thing. I'm one of them. So if you could.
So what you're telling me is you want Decatur Dr. D.
Oh,
you don't want
dang.
Cherokee County, I live in Woodstock Dr. D.
None of that. I want you to talk your good talk. Dr. D, tell the folks about you and what you about, okay, and how you roll and all of that. Give them the BSN, the DR, all of it.
All right. So because your energy was so high, I'm going to introduce myself how I typically introduce myself whenever I'm bringing myself live onto my own show, because if we can't hype ourselves up, who the hell gonna hype us up, right?
That is it.
So you ready?
I'm
ready.
My
countdown? I just need my countdown.
Okay, and give it to me in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yo, what's up? It's Dr. D coming to y'all live. Dr. D as in Darnell S. Morgan, DNP, MSN, MHA, BSN, BS, RN, RNBC, coming to you live on the Can I Be Honest show here tonight with y'all, just letting y'all know what the pandemic means to me and giving you some advice for this pandemic. But be real careful, because you got to hide your wives, hide your husbands, hide your mama, hide your daddy, hide your kids, hide everybody. But bring them on to the live with Dr. D, and we on live with Can I Be Honest? How about that?
Ooh, talk that talk, alphabet boy. I see you. Now, y'all don't know this, but this is the very first time that I've ever met Dr. D. Like literally the first time. But I can tell that we're going to be great friends. Great friends.
Right, we're going to be BFFs by the end of this. So.
Definitely. So, I mean, you already kind of started in it, but just kind of give us an explanation of your educational background, and tell us about your family. Tell us a fun fact about you. Just talk.
Okay. So my educational background is initially I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a physician, an MD, and I went to school, did pre-med, all of that, and got into, taking the MCATs, and the MCATs were not my friends. So I've taken the MCATs a total of 6 times. The first few initial times were, of course, during undergrad, and I was like, okay, I need to focus on this, focus on that. Then I graduate, still not accepted to anybody's medical school. So I said, hey, let me go and teach, biology and chemistry for a year or 2, and then I'll figure it out after that. And maybe, I might learn something along the way and be able to go to med school, and it never happened. And teaching lasted for about 6 months. And I was presented with the idea of attending Kennesaw State University for their accelerated BSN program. And what that program was if you have a degree already, hopefully in one of the life sciences, which I had. I'm a biochem major, so I had the degree requirements and everything. They said, come and take this test. And I was like, oh my God, here we go with another test. I can't deal with another test. And I took the test and I did really well. I scored in a top 5 percentile or 10th percent, something like that. But I did really good. And they said, we really want you to come to our school. And I was like, I really need to do something with my life because teaching ain't it. So I went to Kennesaw State and it was amazing. I basically flew through the program. I really enjoyed the patient care aspect. I enjoyed, talking to people and, and I just knew at that point in time, I'm gonna become a nurse practitioner because I want to help people so much that I want to be a provider. And that's the closest to the doctor that I can get. And it didn't work out that way. God had other plans and he had other goals and other aspirations for me. And so therefore, I actually took the road less traveled in nursing, and I became a healthcare IT nurse where I design and build the systems that we use in the hospital. And not only did I do that in the past, I taught others how to do it, and I brought others along the way with me. And there came a certain point in time where it was like, uh-oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Ah, there we go. So there became a certain point in time where
that Dr. D is famous. So if he cuts out, even right now, he's reporting live from a different location. So if you see him popping in and out, we got you. We all right.
So I got into the whole aspect thinking about teaching again. And they were like, oh, you just need to be a professor. And I was like, absolutely not. I got fired from teaching, doing dissections of frogs. And one of my lovely students decided to take her scalpel and drive it into the hand of a male student and hitting one of his arteries in his hand, which we did not know could bleed that much until we saw it that day. And because I did not have classroom management experience, the principal saw fit that, I no longer teach. So that was it. I had a phobia of teaching anything. I don't care what level it was. But a professor spoke to me and said, hey, we need you to come into this industry. We need you to be a professor. We need you to teach what you know to other individuals, to other nurses, because they see you and you will empower them and they can become just as great as you are, and if not better. And I said, that's not happening. And as I guarantee you, the very next week, I just fell into it. And I said, you know what? I want to give back. I want to train others. I want to teach others. I want others to learn it the right way.
Yeah.
And I said, if nobody's going to teach them the right way, I can definitely teach them the right way. So I immediately enrolled into school. I'd already been looking, of course, for, different master's degree programs and things. I knew it would be in the space called clinical informatics, which is what my master's degree is in. And I just said, I'm just going to get a master's in clinical informatics and just let that be it. And she said, no, you can't teach on a graduate school level with just a master's degree. And I'm like, I got to get a PhD? And she said, absolutely, brother. And I just said, no. I said, no. I've been doing this very successfully for 5 years without a master's degree. And yes, I want to excel to the next level. And in my mind, being non-humble Darnell with just the BSN at the time, it was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, if they want me, they're going to pay me what I want. They're going to allow me to be, who I want to be. And they're going to pay, they're going to bring me on as a professor. I don't care if I got a doctorate or not, like, because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Like, I get paid $150 an hour to go into the hospital. No, you just did that wrong. Tap. The system is fixed.
Yeah.
But I had to go back, and I had to go back to the basics. I had to get back on my knees and start praying. And the door opened right up for me to get my doctorate in nursing through a full 3.5-year program where I was still teaching at the same time. So I wasn't paying as much as I would have been paying if I was not a TA. And then I had the opportunity to do an amazing project with some amazing students over in New York at NYU. And that kind of catapulted my career as a professor at that point in time. And now I finished my doctorate in 2017, literally in December of 2017. January of 2018, I'm teaching full-time. I'm traveling as a consultant full-time. I have maybe 30 students under my belt at this point in time. And they said, this is a pilot program. So what we need you to do is just basically build the program. And I said, okay, who can go on the road? Let's go on the road. We have a brand new hospital to go to initiate and implement their systems. And they just said, okay, whatever we need us to do. And that group of students, they have far surpassed Dr. D.
Oh my God.
They are doing amazing and great things. And it's just because I have a very non-traditional way of doing things. I came into nursing the non-traditional route. I came into being a professor. Though it's a fairly traditional route, it was still non-traditional when I became a professor. I did not have a senior director that I had to report to. I did not have, a dissertation review board that I had to be a part of for 6 years before. I was basically an associate professor doing something very new still to the school and just doing what I've always done, and that's just being Darnell. Being Darnell, getting into spaces and creating spaces where there's no spaces at all.
When the hand of God, you hear me?
It's right.
All over.
This is all God. Like,
no, I'm looking at, even when you said that you tried to take the MCAT, I would be so inclined to believe that it wasn't because you couldn't do it. It's because like I was like, I just need you to go this way. Like,
right, here. Right. And that was, and my faith was not as strong as it was not as strong then as it is now. Back then I was 17, 18, 19 years old, trying to figure out things on my own. And then, when I got into my 20s, my faith got a little stronger, just a tad bit, because I got saved on my own in 2005. Okay. But I got saved by God in 2008, 2009 timeframe. And when I say I got saved on my own, it was, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this because, everybody else doing it. And it didn't work out for me. And I had to allow God, I had to do it on God's timing. Yeah. And that's the thing, individuals that grew up, and I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
And like you said, I got saved on my own when I was 18 in 2005. And then I got saved by God in 2008, 2009 time. And yes. Right. When you grow up culture, you gotta, right. It has to come, it gotta come from the belly. It just can't come from the esophagus and the trachea. It got from God. So, and, and it was just his way of showing me like, listen, you've done it your way. Now let's do it my way. And I've been doing it his way. And it's just time and time and time again, I'm blessed immensely. And I just look at that as just being just my testimony. It's just like, if you trust in God, he will never leave you nor forsake you. Wow. And yes, that's a colloquialism, but I live my life to that. I grew up thinking it. I grew up knowing it. I grew up hearing it all the time. He will never leave me nor forsake me. But now that I've gotten a little bit of success and I've got, a couple of letters behind my name, it's just like, how, God?
Now,
nobody but
now
God.
I'm gonna call you Darnell. Now, Darnell, you a whole alphabet boy. Now, please. Okay.
I mean, it's a couple. It's a few. It's like 18, but who's counting? Who's counting? However, it's just, I mean, even now, even just sitting here now with discussing what I had to discuss with you prior to, us going live and recording and everything, this pandemic has been tough on a lot of people.
Yeah, talk about it. Talk about your perspective on the pandemic and just kind of an overall kind of view in your professional and personal perspective.
So professionally, the pandemic obviously affected me in a very great way. No, I did not lose. I did lose a contract. So I work as an independent contractor. Mm-hmm. I contract directly with the hospitals. I used to work through agencies back in the day, but I started looking at, I was like, hold on. Y'all make $150 an hour and I just make $75? Y'all didn't do half the work? I need all my money. show me the money. So I started talking to different people, and I figured it out. Like, hey, I can make $150 by myself if I contract directly with them. But with that, there's no protections. There's no, there's no benefits and everything like that. And, I mean, I'm married and, I can figure all that stuff out on my own. Yeah. But I did lose a contract. It was a very, very, very lucrative contract for me. It was actually one of the highest that I'd ever been paid in my entire career. And I was just like, oh man, I'm banking on this. Like, I'm about to buy my Tesla. I'm about to do this. My stock's going to be out the roof and this, that, and the third. And COVID-19 messed all that up. And I just said, okay, that's fine. My project was supposed to be an 18-month-long project. It had just started in December. So around COVID-19, we're talking February, March timeframe when things really got ugly. So I'm only on the project for 3 months at this point in time. And they said, hey, Darnell, we need you to bring your team in. I was senior project manager. We need you to bring your team in. We have to have this very important meeting. And I said, uh-oh. I was like, all right, God. Here we go.
I already know.
You gave me another project. I took the project. I prayed and for some reason it was in my favorite city of Dallas. It was with individuals I already knew. It was doing something that I had done in the past that I said, I forgot how to really do this. So I need to, keep my feet wet. So I went ahead and took the project. It was a year project. So I went ahead and took it. But this other project out of LA, they brought us all in. I had a team of 6 individuals. And I'm like, okay, y'all, listen. Whatever recommendations I need to write you all, just let me know. Like, we're going to be okay. We have a ton of skills. We have a ton of knowledge. We're going to bounce back. We're going to jump right back out there, talk to our recruiters, talk to our headhunters. We're going to get somewhere. We're going to work remotely 100% until this thing is over. Being a project manager, you have to motivate individuals like that. And honestly, my faith kept me. And my faith was enough for me to tell them everything's going to be all right for y'all. I promise you everything is going to be okay. But there was a part of me that said, I don't know where their faith lies. And I don't know if they believe that or not. And it was like, well, how do you know? Because God is not going to allow us to fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. We get in that project room and they said, y'all got 3 months to get these projects, these 8 projects that you have for virtual health up and running. It was telehealth, video visits, remote monitoring of ICU patients, which means I can sit at my computer at home and control what's going on in the ICU for a patient, in an intensive care unit for a patient. That's how deep one of my projects was. So we had direct monitoring where I can adjust things, and we had indirect monitoring where I can just look at the screen and see, okay, hey nurse, you need to go and adjust this or adjust that. Okay, great. That was one of the other projects. And another project was kind of like self-help type of things. Like, hey, I got a headache. Okay, is your vision blurry? No. Do you have a blood pressure cuff? Yes. What's your blood pressure? My blood pressure is this. Oh, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Self-care. So they gave us 3 months to get those projects up and running. Okay, great. This was a Friday night. All through the weekend, I said, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to drink the whole weekend. I'm going to have fun. But I was thinking about the project, calling everybody, saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Like, bill as many hours as you need to bill because they already have the projection for it. So bill all those hours, work 100 hours a week, bill 100 hours a week. Okay, great. Dr. D, that's what we're going to do. So that's what my team started doing.
I know that's right.
Working 60, 70 hours a week, billing it. We're getting paid, and I said, stack your bread. Next thing you know, they said, wow, y'all finished this project fairly quickly. And 6 weeks later, they let us all go.
Wow.
Project up and running, tested. By the end of the project, we started one project fairly quickly. Within 4 days, we had the video visits up and running through Zoom, seeing my patients through Zoom because all of our clinics shut down at this point. No patients coming in, seeing patients through Zoom. Okay, boom, 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 boom. By the end of those 6 weeks, they had already seen, I want to say 22,000 patients. Ooh. Now, mind you, this is about 200 providers in Southern California. They're used to coming in and out of the clinic. Yeah, so we saw over 20,000 patients within that time frame. And that's, the hard work and dedication of my team and, you know, being available to them remotely. You know, I live in Atlanta, so I'm having to work until 9 o'clock at night for some of the clinics that close at 6 in Cali. But I just say, listen, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do.
And build them.
So, what was that?
And make sure it's billed.
Right, and of course, because everything is billable, because we got to get these 150, you know. Oh, this one was like maybe, I think it was 225, 230 an hour or something like that. So I'm billing 100 hours a week. Like, I'm the project manager. I got to make sure everything's doing right. I got to work overnight. I got to wake up the next morning and work. So, you know, and they were perfectly fine with that as long as, you know, we got them up and running and, you know, off to a wonderful start. And then my other project continued on. And even with that project, you know, there were still a lot of shaky things. Oh, we don't know if we're going to go live, you know, in September and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, God, what's this? In the midst of all of this, I'm investing into the stock market. Mm-hmm. I'm assisting other small businesses like I typically do during my normal consulting and things like that. And I'm just trying to get things figured out. And I noticed that I started having more and more time on my hands. And this pandemic has really showed me that, believe it or not, money ain't everything. Mm. I've seen people lose their corporate jobs. I've seen people salaries go from $400,000 a year to now I'm getting nothing a year. And they were still able to sustain. I've seen people making $40,000 a year that are making nothing and they're still sustaining. I see people that are making, you know, let's go mid-range, 75 to 100K a year to nothing, and they're still sustaining. And the reason why is because as African Americans, especially, humans in general, but African Americans especially, we persevere through anything. Mm. We lived 400 years through slavery. Not 400 years, 200 some years through slavery. It was 400 years ago. But we lived through slavery. We lived through Jim Crow. We lived through this, we lived through that, and we're going to definitely live through COVID-19. Why? Because when shit hits the fan, my God. Can I say shit?
You can say whatever you want. Can I be honest? Be honest.
Can I be honest? Can I say shit?
You can say it.
Shit hits the fan. We're like, okay, cool. I got $25 and I got 6 kids to feed. All right, let me go over to this pantry and grab these noodles out of here. Let me go and, you know, make some shit shake at the grocery store, you know, and go and get this meat. And let me go and, you know, find these tomatoes and we're going to make spaghetti. And we're going to eat off this spaghetti for the next 2 weeks. Because we know how to take lemons and make Kool-Aid, lemonade, peachade, Medicaid, whatever type of aids we need to make, we can take those lemons and we can do whatever it is that we want to do. And I've seen individuals start businesses. There's a meme that was always floating around before all of this. In 6 months, you can change your life. Yeah. And I've seen people's lives change. I know people that are not even thinking about going back to corporate America. People have started businesses. My jewelry line. I don't have time to make jewelry no more. You know, I used to love it. It used to be a passion of mine. I want to do this. I want to do that. Now they got all the time in the world. They're making their jewelry. Individuals that, you know, well, I really want to get this business off the ground. I really want to get that business off the ground. I really want this stream of income coming in. And now they have time to do it. I really wish a lot of my homeboys, man, I really wish I had more time to spend with my kids. Now they got all the time in the world. Now they daddy of the year. Yeah. They're father of the year because they have that time now to, God has given us the number one thing that is way more valuable to us than money, that's way more valuable than sex, that's way more valuable than anything that we can ever imagine, houses, cars, paintings, whatever. He gave us our time back. Yeah. And now we have time to dedicate ourselves to becoming a better version of us. Now, that job that you know, was plush, and that kept us for so many years, it's no longer there. Now I got to keep myself. Because guess what? I've been telling people for the longest of time, don't be loyal to these jobs. Man. Because guess what? As soon as you die, we're just going to sweep their desk off and, you know, we're going to get a new chair over here and spruce up the area because we got to replace that body.
Dr. D, let me explain something to you. Because as a millennial, and you know, because if you were 18 in 2005, that means we're the same age. Hello.
Right.
So, you know, as a millennial, they used to rip us up and down, specifically the baby boomers, about how all they doing is getting these jobs and leaving and da-da-da. That's because when we were growing up and it was time for us to get real jobs or get out of college or what have you, y'all couldn't even keep y'all 401ks. Y'all couldn't keep y'all jobs. Ain't no time for that. And not only that, not only are we so, and not to say that millennials are all great or whatever, we all have our flaws, but not only are we so conscious of that, it's so much more important for us to leave legacies and to
Absolutely.
give tools to other people beyond us so that they can also not pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but have the strategy to work with each other and then go off and do something great, which is
Absolutely.
what I keep seeing, which seems to be your refrain, right? Your refrain
Absolutely.
throughout the whole time is that, okay, yes, I had to do this stuff because I had this stuff on my mind, but I also had to do it with a team. I needed to make sure that other people was all right too, just so that we can all be all right.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that, especially you being an alphabet boy, I think that I don't know if people would always see that. One of the things that I really love, I really emphasize here on this platform, which is why it's called Can I Be Honest, is the freedom to speak in the way that you see fit, honestly and boldly. But it's also so that we can make sure that we're giving people a 360 view on a situation, because they can look
Absolutely.
at you and they can see you and they'll think that you're, everything for you is good, and it is good, but it didn't come without a testament or a testimony or some
Absolutely.
files. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I love that from the beginning to now, it was a journey, and not only was it a journey that you used to help benefit or better yourself, but you used it to go ahead and make sure that other people were all right too. I love it.
Absolutely. So you said something in the very beginning. You said, give us a shocking thing or give us a surprise or this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
With all the great things that have been going on with me professionally this year, with my amazing career in clinical informatics and, all of the credentials for clinical informatics that I have behind my name, I quit my job in June.
Come on, Dr. D. Speak to the people who need to hear it. Come on.
I quit my job in June because despite it being God that kept me through this whole entire way, there's been one important individual that motivated me and kept me and pushed me and said very important words that every man needs to hear. And regardless if you gay, straight, or indifferent, my husband, shocker, my husband, yes, I said husband, my husband at the time when I wanted to get into this industry and I wanted to take it by storm and I wanted to branch away and become a consultant, I left a job as a staff nurse to go on the road full time to be an IT nurse, a healthcare IT nurse. And he said, leave. He said, leave your job. He said, take the contract. It was just a 3-week contract at the time. He said, take the 3-week contract. And he said, and keep looking for something else. He said, if all else fails, he said, just go back to being a staff nurse. He said, if that takes a while, don't worry about anything. I got you back here at home. I don't want you to worry about anything that's going on at home. And I was like, okay, cool. Because everybody needs motivation, but Black men especially need that type of motivation, whether you're dating another man or you're dating a woman, or you're married to another man or you're married to a woman. Black men need that push, that person that's back at home saying, you know what, babe, I got you.
Yeah.
No matter what you're going through, I got you. But you have to be able to trust that person to start off, to understand that, okay, they got me. I know they got me. If I fall, I know they're going to be right there to cushion my fall, and they're going to be right there to pull me back up like they always do, because there's that trust and everything. But being connected with someone like that is one of the greatest things in the world. And you can have your thought processes about, men supposed to be with a woman, whatever. Because guess what? Regardless of who you with, if you're with the right person and they're there to bring you up, who cares about what you think? Because guess what? We're growing together. And I said that to say, my husband my husband worked in corporate America. His job was one of the ones that was on the chopping block. And I was like, okay, babe, whatever. We good. Like, I didn't want you to quit anyway. All this time I've been wanting him to quit and do catering full time. And now, he ain't got no job and he was doing catering full time.
Yeah.
We've done more in catering this year than we have in the last 3 years combined.
Wow.
And on top of that, we have even more.
During a pandemic.
During a pandemic. Right. During a pandemic. And on top of that, we have even more projections that are coming in the future. So we have done a lot during this pandemic, much more than we have done in the last 3 years combined. And so much so, we're opening up a restaurant next month.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Because he poured so much motivation and encouragement into me, and there were times where I was unappreciative of it. There were times where I just took everything he did for me for granted. Like, I was working Monday through Thursday out of town. I was only home Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But I knew on Sunday, all my clothes was going to be clean and washed and packed up and ready to go for the next week. I was just like, well, shit, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, that's like, you do it. That's what you're supposed to do. And I didn't take it, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't appreciate it. So much so to the point, we divorced in 2017. And we just remarried in January of this year.
Right before the pandemic. That way you guys really solidify everything and wouldn't nobody be alone. I get it.
Right. This is all God. This is all God. Because God knew I wasn't going to be able to sit at home by myself, working remotely. Listen, so we remarried. We remarried back in January 22nd. And here we are, September the 2nd. Can I say the date?
Yeah, you can say it.
Oh, okay, cool. Because, with TV and stuff, you can't really say dates. You can't date yourself.
Well, I'm not there yet. So, and this is, again, this is the Can I Be Honest platform. So
right.
Well, there's no outtakes. This is all it.
Right, exactly. We live. And so it just came to a point where one day I woke up and I was just like, you need a restaurant. I was just like, there's stuff in the kitchen every day. We're doing catering out of our kitchen. It's okay. It's cool. I said, but now we have more equipment. Half the garage is all catering. You have a brand new spice. He dropped the spice line, which wasn't supposed to be dropped until 2021. I said, no, we're going to drop that thing now.
That's now, what people are buying.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time to work on my spices. Now he had all the time in the world to work on his spices. So I said, go ahead and drop them because that's what God wants you to do. So now we have spices stacked up in the living room. We have this, we have that. So now it's time for a restaurant. And because he put so much into me back in the day, it's time for me to say, hey, I got you. Let's open this restaurant. We're going to do it together. So I need to separate from nursing already because we're going to get into the not so pretty parts of nursing in this whole pandemic because I was right there with the frontliners. And, my husband and I worked tirelessly some nights, trying to get them the equipment that they needed and get them the PPE that they needed. But my husband was there for me 8 years ago, and now it's time for me to be there for him and be there for us for our restaurant, which is his goal, his vision, his aspiration. And it's just something that I just kind of fell into. Did I have an aspiration to have a restaurant one day? No. I didn't have an aspiration to be a nurse. I was supposed to be a doctor. I was supposed to be an MD. I was supposed to be Darnell Morgan, MD.
Well, you're still a doctor, though.
I'm still a doctor, but, just another type of doctor.
But here's what I love that because what you're saying is absolutely accurate. When it comes to this pandemic and your family, it's a readjusting of your perspective on the importance of what it is. You said it before, money is not everything. And for people who don't necessarily have, who are not debt free, who don't have money or whatever, you like, what? Money ain't everything, but it really ain't. Because essentially, people are physically dying, like by the hundreds. in the United
Diagnosed
States.
on Monday, gone by Wednesday.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
No, that's absolutely crazy. And if we don't
Mm-hmm.
learn to value or appreciate, and you hear that more specifically now because of the recent passing of Chadwick Boseman, but people are like, yo, I didn't even know this brother was going through stuff. That's why you can't put a limit on this. Nobody's tomorrow is promised. Nobody's taking you. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes?
Absolutely.
We have to value each other as much as possible. And I know for me, the same thing that you're saying with your husband. At the beginning, at the top of the year, right before the pandemic, which I was just kind of like, Lord, like if you would have just kind of let me wait until a little bit, I would have just been working from home anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. But like right before the pandemic, I quit my job, and I was just kind of like, well, 2 years ago I had 6 jobs because I wanted to be debt free. I don't know what it's like to not have a job since I was 18 at the very minimum, or be working in some capacity when I was a teenager. So
absolutely,
to have that support system in the background, and your husband did it for you, my husband has done it for me in the same way that I've reciprocated it in a way previously, to be like, bruh, like you didn't really like that job anyway, so why are we complaining about this? I'm like, but you know,
exactly.
But what happened? How are we gonna survive? Ain't Mr. My threshold for describing whether or not we're surviving is whether or not we have cable, and we still got cable. I'm talking about we still paying for the premium channels, ladies and gentlemen. I have not missed a meal. Can you see it? Can you see it? Because I look it. I have not missed a meal. We still have cable. My child does not have to watch TV with me because we had to sell a TV or some sort. The Lord has always provided.
Absolutely.
But in the most important part of it, even though I don't really like it too much because I'm having to do it, there's an intimacy. I'm talking about the e-learning. I don't like it. I won't send my kid out there, but I don't, ladies and gentlemen, I do not like it. And it's because of you people who decided not to vote. But I'm not gonna get there. I'm not gonna get on that right now. I don't want to talk about that, but I want you to know that while every day that I gotta wake up and teach my kid how to do a first grade, me and you got beef, but whatever, okay? But essentially too, even for us in the realm of the podcast, or even in the realm of booking like just other gigs, both she and I have been able to book gigs that in the past we would have had to pass on because I had jobs or other obligations or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I love that. Listen, I do have another interview, so I can't really stay too long. Even though, what's going to happen?
We're gonna have a part 2.
Yeah, what's also going to happen is that I'm going to talk you to death because I like talking to you. So we're gonna have we're gonna be here for like 3 hours.
Now, where do you live?
I live in Winder. I live in
you live in Winder, out in Barrow County.
Yeah, you know us.
Yeah, my stepdad went to Barrow. Is it Winder Barrow, or did he go to Clark? No, he went to Clark County and then went to Winder Barrow.
My husband was born and raised in Athens.
Oh wow! See, listen, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change this up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna take this to the next level.
Okay.
You're gonna come to the restaurant. For our part 2. Yes. Our part 2 is at the restaurant.
You ain't saying
we can have a couple of drinks. Listen, I need that background. I got a few ring lights at home. We're gonna have the setup. We're gonna do it. And we're gonna have a part 2 interview, and we're gonna do it at the restaurant live.
Listen, you don't got to tell me that because you got more followers than me. You famous. Let me hang on your coattails, please. You ain't said nothing about a word.
That's what we're gonna do. Hey, guess what time we're gonna do it at? We're gonna do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Cause I ain't got shit to do it. You ain't got shit to do.
Let me go ahead and pause this real quickly.
Okay.